I could have preferred if we engage, because this activity is about experiential learning and it's about sharing experiences. So I want to bring a mindset, but I want you to react to this mindset and see what you could do with it, because that is what it takes now. And as I'm talking to you, I would want you to have an open mind and not to think. What I won't encourage is you thinking managerially, technically, occupationally, or professionally. I know at some point my colleague will be helping you to transit from being a manager to a leader. And now we want mindset of leading. Yeah. And I'll be taking you through rationale, why we run this program. And then again, on contemporary styles of leading. In other words, what should make sense today? Okay, first, let me take you through rationale. You're coming in at a very high level where your influence will fit into what I call 2080, that Alfredo Pareto arrangement. If at all you become a director, you become a CEO, you become chair of a board, or you become a minister, or even president of Kenya, going forward now, your signature or meaningful engagement, if you engage to 20%, then you could create impact. You could transform our lives and create impact to 80% on quality of lives of Kenyans, and then transforming the economy. And that is what we desire, because we have seen countries gallop, we have seen economies boom, and they don't boom just because of resources they have. Now it's very, very important that there's some hand up. Rogers and Judith, what can I do for you? Rogers, Judith. Okay, let me assume they don't know their hands are up. Uh, wow. Okay, Judith. Judith, your hand is up. Okay, let me ignore Judith. So I was saying that going forward, if at all you get chance and you're given the kind of authority and responsibility of which will hold you accountable, you're coming at the top level now. I'm talking level 1, level 2 in internal organizational structure. And I'm also talking a chair of a board or a director of a board. These are very influential arrangements which come with a lot of authority, of which high level accountability is also demanded, because responsibility is also high, which means that if you engage meaningfully, you could impact economy, you could change lives, because economy will transform. But it's very, very important to understand how things work today, especially if you're going to deliver impactful arrangement. If I'm to take you back, if you are to do this around 1920s, your life could have been very easy, because situations around 1920s to 1940s were not so complicated, and situations were highly predictable, and with a lot of certainty, and not so demanding a situation. Given same capacities like you'll be given today, and capacities I mean, given knowledge you have today, given skill sets you have today, and given monies you have today, and if at all you are given a goal to deliver, then it was going to be very easy, because situations were not very challenging. And even people were not highly demanding. Yes, economic demands of stakeholders and customers was not so high, and was not highly dynamic. If I'm to forward you to the year of our Lord 2026, and I give you the same situation, give you similar authority, give you similar capacities, and give you legal instruments, because you're civil servants, you're operating on legal instruments, on as stakeholding theory on behalf of the Kenyan citizen who has voted for you, and being a democracy. given the same, you'll realize that now situations in which you're going to try to deliver are highly, highly dynamic, highly, highly chaotic, highly, highly demanding. And the only thing now I want you to understand very well, if I'm the one who is having social contract with government and I've voted and I'm a taxpayer, and they are now coming in to implement policies of the government in place, please don't whine on me, because this is how I would want my services offered. Number one, whatever you're going to do to me today, given the resources you have, I want them rolled out in unique and better ways. And this is going to be so that all the time, because I'm going to get a lot of information, I'm going to get a lot of needs, and I'm going to create a lot of unique needs. I would want my unique needs met, and I would want my unique needs met in faster ways. Simply, I'm saying I would want it unique, better, and better, but I also want it faster, convenient, and cost-effective. In other words, I would want you to meet my needs in excellent ways. And the truth is, if you don't meet my needs in excellent ways, somebody will. And then again, because of the level of communication and awareness I have today, I will know where to get that. And that is how we make government and democracies irrelevant. And that's how states will fail. And if you're not careful, with all the resources and with all the capacities, we might not run a successful state. If I take you back to 1920s and till 1945, look at those situations. Look at the consumer then. At that time, demands were not so complicated to meet, because that was a time of scarcity. That was a time when we had two very bad world wars. And the world wars wiped out labor, wiped out industrial capacities, and whatever capacities were there were being used to make war successful. And then again, at around that time, God also brought a very bad plague. And this plague traveled in towns and wiped out so many people. In that background, that led to a very serious depression, economic depression. So people just wanted commodities. People just wanted things to survive. And those things didn't have to be complicated. They didn't have to be unique. They didn't have to be authentic. They didn't have to be exotic. We just wanted something. So yours was just to make something. So any ordinary performance could do. Not great performance, just ordinary performance. And if you just appeared and you became efficient, that was good enough. That was good enough. You didn't have to be effective. You didn't have to be sustainable. We just needed something, because people were just keen on surviving, because labor had been wiped out a lot. Economics industries were wiped out, and people just wanted to survive. So anything would do. That's not the case today. Today, anything will not do. If you are coming in now and you want to make sense, please be overseers. And I'm picking this rightly. You are not doers of work. You're overseers. You're providers of direction. You should identify the unchangeable North Star. And in this case, work in such a way that the unchangeable North Star that is going to lead to the direction which you'll be overseeing and guiding people to must lead to a sustainable center of excellence. And that excellence, we don't let it hanging. First, how do you get to know that you're almost approaching excellence? When it meets world standards of practice, like world class. But world class is also not good enough, because we want you to go ahead and create the next world class, which is unique and better and authentic to particular situations which you're serving. So in this, if you come in as a leader now, inspire me, motivate me to work efficiently, but also effectively and sustainably. We just don't want people working hard, and sometimes working hard doing things which should have not been done, or things which are not necessary. It's not about how hard you work now. No. It's about whether this thing you're doing should be done. and it should be done well. So if at all now you are going to be keen and guiding, and remember, there's a reason why I'm using such, because yours is to guide, yours is to spearhead, yours is to influence, yours is to inspire, or rather, or make sense, and make sense so that we can move ordinary work to extraordinary work. We can move ordinary economies to great economies. And how will I know that? That economy must be made up of sustainable centers of excellence. And these sustainable centers of excellence, whatever they are doing, they must be rolling out, they must be creating unique and better situations. And then when you roll out unique and better situations and you are rolling them out so fast, then you don't have to compete because you'll always have something unique and better which people want. And when you're using unique and better arrangement, which we call co-creation or design thinking, then in such a case, we don't want you to compete. You're competing by not competing. You just make competitors irrelevant. And that's how you create competitiveness today. Today is not resource-based economy. Competitiveness is not coming from having resources or having things or having knowledge. No, competitiveness is coming from what can you co-create in terms of utilities from what you have. So it's not about having, it's what you do with what you have. And if you understand this so well, then economies will boom. 1920s, 1930s, 1940s, these were resource-based economies. Competitiveness was coming from having. But now you can have, but if you're not careful, you'll just be a haver of a thing or a haver of something that could have been value, but it's not utility. So you have to move these values to utility so that we can impact. I'm going to contextualize. First, to let you know that now we just want you to create an organization and guide an organization full of co-creators of excellence. And these co-creators of excellence will go out to pick unique needs and mainstream unique needs to unique strategies. And this must be done so fast because any utility that is any value propositioning that is rolling out utility or value cannot be older than 500 days. Any value propositioning older than 500 days is no longer unique and better. What does that mean? Somebody out there will make you irrelevant because they have a unique and better arrangement. So you must be so ever learning, ever changing. And now we want high-level adaptability, high-level changing, high-level co-creation, high-level collaboration, high-level resistance and resilience as you move towards new utilities. And this, if we don't understand this mindset so well, then we'll just be busybodies, extractors of resources, handlers of commodities, but we will not create a competitive economy. I think it's time I contextualize. First, I want to do with products, then I'll come up with cross-learning on contemporary, on a number of countries, then maybe you will pick what I'm trying to say. Okay. Around 1930s, 1920s, if you are to have a bath, first, smelling well, the business of toiletries was not important. Looking good, smelling well, looking radiant was not the thing. What was important was survival. Putting food on the table, because I told you of Great Depression and the situations were harsh. Now look at it. People used to bath. They'll use toilet soaps, like bathroom soaps. But now look at it. People never used to bath every day. They'll do it once in a while. And once, in 3 months, they'll do it once. In continental Europe, they'll take the bathtub used to be in front of homes. Then mama will warm bath water, and the first person who will go into the bath water will be daddy, then followed with the kids, and then mama will come last. What was important then? Being clean was not something highly prioritized. that you could do it every day. You only needed it once in a while. Okay, in my community, in my tribe, we never even used to use water. Once in a long while, we will put you down. We will bring ghee and then rub ghee on you on a sunny morning, and then bring ugali and roll it over your skin. It was not a priority. It was not. So if you're in soap business, making soap was very easy. You just had to boil salt in fat. What people needed was just a bar soap, nothing else. They just needed a product. Yeah, that is what the Times wanted then. And that was good enough. Let me take you to go today, the year of our Lord 2026. Go to the supermarket. Try buying soap now, a bathroom soap now. Now it's totally different. Now people are not looking for a product. People are not looking for a soap. People are looking for a soap that is delivering a solution and an experience and is a brand. And now the soaps are not the same. They are so customized, they're so personalized, they're so tailor-made to unique experiences. And that's how you survive now. You survive by being unique and better. And unique and better, identifying a specific need, and design thinking and co-creating a unique arrangement to sort it out. Now, look at soaps now. Let me tell you, there are bathroom soaps now that if you use it every day, you become a shade lighter. I think the Kenyan slang word will be rangi atao. Now, you'd find a lady who is chasing love. And most Kenyan men, I think some Kenyan men like their women brown. I think they call them rangi atao. Now, if a lady is chasing love or chasing corporate arrangement or branding herself, and this soap is just a solution to an end. What the soap is delivering is not just cleanliness. So when you see some people now go to the bathroom, it's not because they want to be clean. They are uniquely seeking love or uniquely seeking a new image or a new brand. So it's not just a soap now. That is quite serious. And now look at it. That is one soap making you light skinned. Then in the same arrangement again, look at most ladies want to look young all the time. I'll come to guys also. Every woman is somebody's baby. Now there's a soap that if you use, it exfoliates. Then you look young all the time. And now people chase youth, and especially ladies wants to be somebody's baby. And also men are looking for women with supple skin and radiant. Now look at it. That soap that exfoliates is not just for cleaning. Cleaning is just a product. Now you have to brand as personalized as possible to unique needs. And as you make it more unique and better, you're solving that problem so well, then you do it all the time, you get into a brand in sustainable ways. Then you don't compete. It's not about, and you don't work hard. It's not about working hard. It's about understanding. And once you understand, and then now you'll find people are very serious because this soap makes them look young. When they look young, they get love or they rebrand. And if you do that, you can't miss out. Then you can do exclusive pricing because you understand how things work today. We are now in systems in systems. You're in strategic management era. You're a system in systems, and all these systems are changing so fast. You can't standardize now. You can't mandate. You can't regulate. You can only create around needs. So we don't want competitors. We want co-creators, and we want design thinkers who are acting so fast. So in organization now, we want lean and efficient structures, making quicker decisions because these needs are so perishable. I told you lifespan of knowledge now is only 500 days. Anything older than 500 days is not unique and better, which means somebody has already come up with a unique and better solution. So we want you to be pragmatic solution providers so that you make sense and grow economy. You can't grow economy when you don't make sense, and it's not what you have. I'm going to dwell on that later. Then let me just complete the soap thing. Then now, there are some people let me get to men. I think ladies are feeling freaky now. Let me get to men. Now, they're new breed of men who who are very confident, and I like it, and they're authentic. And these people want to stand out. And look at it. They even do facials. They even do nails. And you know what? They even use sunscreen and moisturizers. And these guys are living YOLO. They're living once and they want to live thoroughly. And when they have resources, look at how they'll go around bathroom. First, if you go to their bathtub, you'll find the bathroom communicating a lot. You'll find the handle of the bathtub is done from some rare thing, like maybe ivory or gold, whatever they can afford. And when they make their bath water in the bathtub, they throw in their rare salts, they throw in their rare herbs, because they're seeking authentic, unique arrangements. That is what they're seeking. They don't want anything common. They don't want anything standard. They want it highly personalized, expressing themselves. And now look at all that luxury. There's a soap that goes with luxury. It's called Imperial Leather. Look at the motto, adds a little luxury to your life. That's what we want, so that you don't just do a soap. The soaps are not supposed to look the same. Because 1920s, they just wanted a bar soap. Now, they're seeking experiences. They're seeking identity. They're profiling themselves. And they're seeking exotic arrangements. And that's what they want. Okay, now there are also some very elite people, and they want to live forever. Let's understand, people nowadays want longevity, and now there are people who want to live forever. And look at the soap they're going to use. They're not going to put any chemical on their body. They go herbal. They go herbal. And somebody realizes that and creates a need, realizes that need, and comes up with a relevant value propositioning. Then that person cannot compete. It's not these are no times of working hard. No, 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 no. These are times of just creating knowledge, and it's knowledge-based economy. And value creation comes with uniqueness. So long as you are going to be authentic enough and confident enough to question paradigms and create the next, then boom, things happen. I'm still on soap. Oh, some people, their demands are very funny. Uh, there are these people who like their toothpaste and soap black. Actually, my last one is like that. I don't know where I got this weird feeling like cleanliness comes from being black. And now somebody has realized that. So now there are black soaps and black toothpaste. And you can only use black toothpaste and black soap. So long as you have people who are authentic, the world now is bold. And the people in the world want know their choices, and they're so well informed. And if you're going to make sense to them and create jobs and create value and grow economy, you must understand that now you must personalize, customize. And what we need now is high level empathy, so that you can listen to the stakeholder and create utility for them. And utilities are unlimited. So long as you're smart enough, then we should not have unemployment, because utilities are unlimited and they're everywhere. Okay. How products, things will become irrelevant. And I want you to, when I'm giving you this talk, last year, you saw what happened in June 24th. And you saw the young Kenya under 35 communicating one thing. They were like, you don't get it. You don't get it. Yes. So we have to get it. And that's bottom line. And there's this guy who has written this wonderful book called Death of Democracies and Death of Democracies and Governments. Look at that. Most governments are going to be relevant if they don't know what utility means to people at what time. Mm, at what time. And then again, people will want to pay tax and engage when they see utilities in place. Like for example, I could be, not I could be. I pay tax. I pay tax to ministries handling education. Heavy, high, high budget, high budget ministry. And after paying that tax, they fail to run centers of excellence. They fail to run utilities. then I still pay private sector to get utility. And it's only private sector that maybe is giving me unique and better arrangement. So I pay for this. So I pay for this ministry, which will just have entitlement because they have legal arrangement and they are state run. But really, I don't see utility. They are not run as centers of excellence. They're just efficient. Yes, efficient they are. They absorb budgets. Yes, they absorb budgets. Because again, these budgets are coming from what? Oh, donor money. So they can suck donor money, increase debt burden, and they're entitled legally because they're legal instruments. And then they meet legal requirements and they meet frameworks of policy. But at the end of the day, they are not utility providers. If at all they do, they efficiently give standardized, regulated arrangements. But I want it unique, I want it authentic, I want it customized, I want it unique and better, I want it cost-effective, convenient. Okay, let me give you another example. Ministry of Health, big time budget. Big time budget. Then I look at it. I have to pay these guys. I have to pay tax. Then this ministry must run, and this ministry is important to government. But me as a household, I want unique arrangement. So I go to private clinic so that they can pick my needs as a center of excellence and give me pragmatic local solutions in sustainable ways. But the ministry, yeah, they are entitled. So why do I pay them? Because they're entitled to a salary. They're permanent pensionable. They're entitled to that money. And then they also they were also hired. They were also hired. So they're part of state legacy. Then security, I pay for governance. I still hire guards. Then again, look at it, bottled water. In any country where I see bottled water on table everywhere, what does that mean? Should we have a ministry handling water and still we have bottled water? So when I see bottled water and people can't touch water from the tap, then you get to know you're in problems. So that's what I'm trying to say here. So things can be made irrelevant. Okay, there's this product which I'm very passionate about, and nostalgic. Let me say nostalgic, because it reminds me of my mama. I don't know if I saw you, maybe I could have known the right question to ask. I don't know whether, did you see treetop or drink treetop? Maybe raise up your hand if you saw. Treetop was a squash. It was a syrup you fix to drink. Hmm? Now, Tito Big Time reminds me of my mama. And by then, those days, there were no ATMs. So if you are going to earn, there was one payday. So you go to your supervisor and ask for payday. Then you'll be given one day off so that you could go line in the bank hall and pick money. Okay. We used to be 4 boys in a row. And our schooling used to end by 12:30. So by 12, we'll be singing this popular Kenyan song. I don't know whether you sang it. It used to be Nasikia sauti, sauti ya mama, sasa ni saa sita, sasa ni saa sita, mwalimu gweri. Then we ran home. When we go home and we find mama at home, we only knew one thing. Daddy's payday, daddy's paydays are not so known, or they'll not be home anyway. So what's the situation now? You go home, we find mama at home. Then when we find mama at home, we only know one thing: it's payday. Then mama used to come from payday with a shopping bag, a brown paper bag. Inside there, we were only keen on two things. We were only keen on what? Queen cake and treat up. Then Mama will take us to the dining table, and we will be given our monthly ritual fix of treat up in a quarter of a glass, I think. Then you fix it to your liking. Then you know the month ended. This was a ritual. Treat up was a super brand. Anybody earning anything, and we could only afford one. So then we know the month ended. Do you know somebody made this super brand relevant, coming up with a pocket-friendly, ready-to-drink? That's what I'm saying here. Making it relevant does not call for resources. It calls for thinking. Then, when I've come up with a unique and better solution which resonates and is believable and is realistic and is exciting, then I make it relevant. Not because I have anything. No. These are not times of having things. These are times of using things. And there's so many idle resources which you should use. So that's how you should approach economic transformation in third world countries. And products like that, I have seen so many products become irrelevant. If you remember Simia Jamii didn't even take 2 years in the Kenyan market. If you remember the pager didn't even take 2 years in Kenyan market. That's what I'm saying here. You can have donor money. You can have a lot of knowledge, of which Kenya has. Kenya does not lack mastery of concepts in terms of knowledge. Kenya does not lack proficiency of skills. Skill sets are there. Basic knowledge is there. But just having knowledge, but not moving knowledge to utility, is not a solution to anything. You're just a custodian of a lot of knowledge. But whether knowledge makes sense, it's whether it creates impact. So strategically now, don't just do things. As I contextualize that, make sure that measure what matters, and mainstream what matters. And what matters that will lead to economic impact is people working efficiently, but also effectively and sustainably. And don't just be celebrating outputs. You can litter the world with a lot of outputs, but integrate these outputs to logical outcomes and impact so that we can start feeling money in our pocket, so that we can do more with less in integrated ways. Because now it's about systems. It's not about functional approach to productivity, to efficiencies. And efficiencies are not productivities. You can just be busybodies doing crazy things that should have not been done at all. Okay, let me get to crazy things we do. If at all you're from pastoralist communities, and I want you to, if you're from North Rift, and you're from Elgeyo Marakwet, Baringo, and all these places, there was this incident where goats, particularly from Baringo, traveled all the way to Nairobi, and they took government to court. Did you see that on your national TV? People are still reacting to Twitter. Now I'm on another thing. Did you see goats from Baringo travel to Nairobi and took government to court? If you saw that, raise up your hand. Am I talking to Kenyans? Maybe show me your IDs. Did you see that? Come on, can we stop the Twitter thing? Now I'm on, okay. I'm on Madenge now. Now, what was the offense? And now, this is a major lesson I want you to learn. Okay, Madenge, I've seen with my own two eyes, being traded in markets in Southeast Asia, being transported in trams, is a rich fodder crop. Now look at how we went about this at strategy level. We conceived the idea. That was great. And this project could have not been handed over to somebody without mastery of concepts. So most likely, a project like that, whoever will be in charge is somebody with a master's degree or a PhD. Because all managerial positions in Kenya now, you must have a master's. Because managers are developers of policy and frameworks. Now look at this. These people with a lot of knowledge, and a lot of knowledge on how to manage projects, because you should also not be doing things like that when you don't have skill sets which are needed. Now, we went to Southeast Asia, we saw this tree or a herb or whatever, or bush, whatever it is. Then we brought it here. And most likely, what we were keen on as a country is how fast we brought it, or how many pieces we brought, or what acreage we brought. So because we were keen on bringing it, so we brought it. So we complied. I mean, a box must have been ticked in terms of a work plan that was achieved. Madenge was brought. Madenge was planted in these acres. and Madenge was planted within the time span, and the donor money was absorbed. But now look at the reality. After a short while, you realize that this thing you planted here, you should have not even planted, because here is highly toxic, and grows grows much faster, but it's highly toxic, and it's killing animals, and it's also choking other fodder crops. Then you realize now you should have not. That's what I'm saying. If you just want to be efficient, then you will be doing things you are not supposed to do at all. Then you do crazy things in faster ways, absorbing donor money, increasing debt burden, increasing poverty, than forcing us now to have national prayer days all the time. We don't need to do that. Look at it. That's what we want from you now. If at all you are overseeing, please oversee doing it right. Oversee effectiveness, oversee sustainability. Make sure that things end up with impact and outputs. And that must be done. So look at, if at all somebody was keen on that, look at what they should have done first. And anybody with basics of project management should have known how to perceive a project plan well. Number one, they could have done suitability studies. They could have done risk analysis. They could have done acceptability studies. They could have even come up with a pilot first, so that we get it right. But because we're just driven by donor money, and now we don't go for high level of ethical arrangements, and we don't go for excellence, then we just do ordinary. And ordinary is ticking boxes, compliance, ticking boxes, absorbing budgets. Then now we end up with a curse. And uniquely, then everything we do is a curse. And when you do curses every day, then you need more national prayer days. Look at this one also. We went to Australia, we saw Blogam. Ooh, a tree growing so fast, so tall. Then what are we seeing? Timber. Then in the same way again, take this donor money, hoping you'll transform based on good luck. Then you do intercropping with it, a major government project. Then after some time, oh, we should have not even planted this. It's sucking water everywhere, very deep roots. So what do? Another government project, uproot it. So then every government project becomes a curse because of unreliable strategic thinking not in systems, thinking for short-term interests, not long-term, and in most cases, not guided by ethical arrangements like utilitarianism, common goodness for all, but selfish interests, short-term interests, managing for today, it's our chance to eat. Then tax burden going up, inflation, then a lot of problems. So you see, that we were not supposed to do it at all. And there were alternatives we could have done, which were sustainable. There are trees which are sustainable, which could have made agriculture grow. So when you see us lack food, it's not because environment should not give food. No, it's how we manage it. Then let me continue. Let me get to, I grew up in this Kenyan city, and my hometown, you don't need visa to go there. The town was called Europe, but nowadays it's called UK. I hope you know the place. You don't need visa to go there. And there we like our fish. We like our fish so much. So look at how you messed us up. You went to Upper Nile, another government project, which is supposed to transform. And in actual sense, maybe kick away poverty. And maybe you made it an RRI or a rapid response initiative or a result-based objective to really kick away poverty. So we went to Upper Nile, we saw Mbuta. When we saw Mbuta, fillet, economic growth. But we didn't measure what matters. We didn't guide what matters. We didn't identify value system. We didn't even align it to a particular North Star that could have led to national economic development. So what were we keen on? How fast we took Mbuta to Lake Victoria. And I think that one must have been 100%. We took it with a lot of speed, and we took it in right numbers. Then look at it. We took a scavenger eating everything, including its own. And now Now the Nile perch has made the lake to lose every other fish. And now we have to spend another money, a lot of money again, to restock the lake. Uh, so it's not even if we get a lot of money, even if we get so many degrees, it does not matter. It's what you do with those things. It's what you do with the degree. It's what you do with the knowledge. It's what you do with the resources. And in this kind of mindset at leadership level, even if we get more donor money, we'll just be suckers of donor money and deliverers of poverty. So it's not what should come in, it's how we should think. Yes. And in the same arrangement, remember economic recovery strategy, and this came with the Nusumkati, and you remember fish ponds. Excellent project, funded by donors again. And now I found myself in a unique arrangement, which I really regretted. I really felt like not being a Kenyan. It was mad, because now you remember every constituency was given money, irrespective of other situational analysis, was given money to do ponds, and these ponds. So later now, I was hired by donors. So we were doing endline impact analysis. The donors wanted to know whether it made sense, because it was supposed to give us better meat and create employment for the youth. Huh? And we came up with ponds. The ponds were done on time. The fingerlings were put on time. They grew in number, they grew in sizes. But look at what benefited: snakes, birds, cats, and dogs. What was supposed to benefit? Human beings. Why? Weak strategizing. We were behaving, we didn't even create uptake and develop market, huh? Especially in those areas of central province. Now look at that. Huh? So imagine me giving feedback to Wasungus that actually we Africans, we just made dogs and cats and snakes and birds fat in those villages. Then you wait for another tranche of donor money. Come on. Maybe you should read Dabisa Moyo, Dead Aid, and other arrangements. Yeah. And you should also read my book. Now, I was forced to do this book. This book is called 1+1=4, Reimagining Excellence in a Disruptive Economy. And this book, people demanded, because as I gave talks, they were like, Okoyo, give us a framework. So I did this book. This book is to reimagine excellence in a disruptive economy, because this economy is disruptive. Despite the fact that it's disruptive, Kenya must gallop. Kenya must be one of the breakout African states. Kenya must reach Singapore as fast as possible. I don't know whether via Canaan or whatever, but what I know is we should transform. And the world has been waiting for Kenya to transform. So I did that book. You can pick a copy. Copies are in Nuria Bookshop. Copies are in Kenya Schools of Government, in Embu, in Mombasa, in Nairobi. And also, if you're in Naivasha, if you go to Naivasha Resort, and if you go to Lake Naivasha Resort and Aspire and Spa, you will get copies there. It's going for 1,500. And if you meet me, I'll sign, I'll autograph for you if you're an agent of excellence. Because now you have to encourage agents of excellence so that we can have centers of excellence, and so that we can have cultures of excellence, and so that we can have structures promoting excellence. Yeah. And if countries don't do this, and if leadership of countries don't do this, then we can't transform. Because to transform, first, we need big, hairy, audacious ideas. We need people who are confident enough to have big dreams that inspire. We want powerful mental pictures which are inspiring. Human beings are led by expectations. I don't want to go to the basic theories like Vroom's expectation theory and all that. But what we do know at this level now, going forward, if you find you're sleeping till 8:30 in the morning, I think that's satanic. You should have a scary, what you call big, hairy, audacious ideas. That's stopping you from sleeping. You can't be sleeping now. You should be thinking big. So we need bigger ideas, bigger mental pictures. Then again, we need people who believe in excellence, who push us towards excellence, who inspires excellence, who are intellectually inspiring to you through excellence, and who empowers excellence, and who who rewards excellence. So in your policy frameworks, in your organizational structures, in your policy frameworks, and in your organizational culture, that must support that. And you have to be very, very careful, because what we know now, you can be having bigger dreams, but if the culture of the workforce is so bad, then culture will eat strategy for breakfast. After that, you'll just be talking, but you'll not have any impact. And then we must now empower people, empower teams, so that they can become agents of excellence. Communication must be excellent and faster, so that we can move ahead and achieve arrangements. The book I did is forwarded by Professor P.L. Lumumba. Lumumba, I like his views. He's a political and he's a thinker. He's a modern day philosopher. So he decided to forward the book, which is a great idea, for which I respect him and honor him. Okay, now you must be wondering and saying, are there countries that have galloped? Are there countries that have broken out as states? Yes, yes. Let me give you these ones. Mm, we know Dubai. How was Dubai 50 years ago? It was a hopeless desert where warlords were roaming. How is Dubai today? Today is highly branded. There's major international capital flight to Dubai as a destination of excellence. Highly now you call it what in Kenya? Now you call it Dubs. And February is coming. So I know those of you who are very rich now, you have started telling your girlfriends, babe, I'm taking you to Dubs. That Dubs was a hopeless desert. But centers of excellence now have taken it to a highly performing economy. Then look at these two countries, born on the same day. Look at North Korea, look at South Korea. Same cousins, same religion. Mm. Their birthday is one. Like a ruler was drawn. Fly over North Korea now. You look down, South Korea, you see literal light. North Korea, you see literal darkness. And look at this country. They moved it to the 5th largest economy in the world. Look at some of their companies. Centers of excellence, highly competitive, seriously co-creating. Look at Samsung. I know now some of you are taking this on a Samsung phone or a computer. Now look at it. When I come to your kitchen, Samsung will be warming your food. Samsung will be cooking for you. Samsung will be cleaning for you. And look at motor industry. When they got into motor industry, you laughed a lot. You said, oh, you can't do super engineering like Germany. You can't do appropriate engineering, your northern neighbors, Japan. Now look at it. When they rolled out Hyundai and Kia, they shut you up. That's what I like. Shut you up by coming up with unique and better solutions in sustainable ways, not just doing things. You remember, we tried making a car here and we lied to President Moi that we could enter motor industry in sustainable ways. No way. When Toyota tells you that every vehicle in front of you is always a Toyota, because they are co-creators. They are co-creators around solutions. They do a lot of design thinking before you see products. And these are times of systems in systems. You have to design unique utilities. It's not what you have. And look at Kenya. There are things we have, but we can't make money out of it. We are not the ones making money out of it. Like Kenya has the best coffee. You know our coffee Arabica. It's the best. Actually, you brew it in the morning, it gets to your head. The aroma is so rich. But who is making money out of this coffee? It's not the woman digging in Nyeri. It's not the woman digging in Kisii. No. It's the guys who have created brands and experiences around coffee. You have Nescafe, you have Java, you have Starbucks. So you can have, but you'll not be the money. So as with coffee, we are just like modern day slaves. The same way our forefathers were handlers of commodities. Our forefathers as slaves were extractors of commodities, were handlers of commodities. That's what we are doing in the world today. We are just handlers of rare minerals. We are just handlers and processors of seeds and timber and hide. But that's not where money is. Money is in people who create brands and become super brands. Their collar stays white, they don't sweat, and nobody owes you anything. I mean, if I traded on your forefathers as slaves, what makes you think I owe you anything? I owe you nothing. You can only get out of the rut when you become competitive and when you create centers of excellence and when you know what to do now and know things are different, nobody owes you anything. Nobody owes you anything. Okay. Now, contemporary styles of leading. I'm winding up with that. I know leadership, people have talked a lot of things, but some of these is just for your own knowledge and maybe just for knowledge like history, so that maybe you appreciate we realized it much earlier. There was a time, uh, uh, the oldest theory, the oldest thinking, I think, was like leaders are born, which led to aristocracy. And I think in Europe it was major. So you'll find that there's some people who are just born to be a prince. Then there are these mothers who are just queen mothers. And so that was there. Then people have talked many things. Oh, servant leadership. Oh, what? Oh, what? What I know is this, what I think will work. But again, also hold opinion of your own. There's this thing called transformative leadership. It's a mixture of all these. So show me a transformative leader, I see a visionary holding bigger dreams. And who is a transformative leader is a believer in excellence. How they inspire you intellectually. Then they create centers of excellence and culture of excellence and structures towards excellence. So what do we know about them? They're excellent communicators, and they're very passionate about their dreams, and they communicate them well. Then what do we know about them? They empower others. They are builders of teams. They are believers in individuals, so that the DIEB concept in HR will fall in. They know how to bring in diversity, inclusivity, empowerment, and belonging. So poof, people get empowered. And then again, what do I know about them? They are working beyond self-interest. They are highly going for what? They're highly going for what? They're going for utilitarianism, common goodness for high level ethics. High level ethics. Yes. That is the combination that transforms. And now, for you to be a transformative leader, listen to me. A transformative leader must be authentic, must be confident, and confident enough to hold opinion, and hold opinion to question paradigms and create the next. And a transformative leader, from why are they authentic? Because they don't they don't seek unnecessary validations. By this time, at this stage, you should have known what works for you, and you should have known your worth. And if anything, now new skill sets are coming to make it better now. Like everybody now, show me a great leader who transformed. Huh? There were brands. Now you must develop yourself into a brand. You must be highly emotionally intelligent. And I don't think you can become a brand and impactful and lead when you're not highly emotionally intelligent. I don't think you'll be an excellent communicator with empathy and develop social influence when you're not highly emotionally intelligent. And I don't think you'll empower teams and fail to compete and collaborate and network when you're not emotionally intelligent. I don't think you'll be purpose driven, you'll be initiative driven when you're not emotionally intelligent. I don't think you'll have high level of adaptability and high level of resilience at the same time, and high level of proactivity if you're not emotionally intelligent. Yes. And that's why I believe the best style, if you asked me, is be a transformative leader. Mm, maybe I'll only give maybe 2 minutes. I don't know. Dr. Mirara, are you on board? Dr. Mirara? Daktari? Dr. Mirara, are you on board? Ush. The next person, is there anybody from ELDI?
I am on board.
Patrick, you're on board on behalf of, okay. So a few questions maybe, something you want me to ask? to clarify, remember, I'm seeing people asking of the title. The title of the book is 1 + 1 is 4. Reimagining excellence in a disruptive economy. That's my framework of thinking. But those are my views I hold. I also expect you to hold your opinion and respect other people's opinion as you engage further. If there's no any other question, I would ask to log out. And may God bless you and welcome on board. Thank you.
So thank you very much, Evans. I hope everyone can hear me. Ibrahim, yes, you can hear. I can see the messages. You can hear me. I want to thank Evans Okoyo for taking us through that moment. And I would want to find out if there are questions. Elizabeth, Diego, and Mutweri, I can see as if they are asking a question. Their hands are up. Grace Ouma, you have a question? Grace Ouma, you have a question? Uh-huh. Okay. So I think we can proceed. We can proceed from where Evans left. I can proceed from where Evans left. And mainly what we are discussing is based on strategic thinking. Strategic thinking, of course, which is the process of analyzing situations, and anticipating future challenges. Analyzing situations and anticipating future challenges, which is mainly aimed at helping us to see the bigger picture in everything that we do. Again, also, in strategic thinking is all about, again, developing long-term plans to achieve goals so that you are also able to balance the immediate needs with a broader vision for sustainability. Many a times, you find that as a nation, Kenya, we have intentions of either bringing about change in various sectors of our country. For example, we may be wanting to have changes in the education sector. Sometimes we have wanted to have changes in the health sector, and so on and so forth. And if we are guided by strategic thinking, first and foremost, it is about seeing the bigger picture. We're seeing the bigger picture. For example, if we are bringing changes in a sector like education, do we see education from a bigger perspective? That is, for example, initially, for example, we had the old model of education, the old system. Now we have a new system, which is competency-based. In that transition, are we able to see the bigger picture in all of it? And that is what it is all about. Understanding the ability to see the bigger picture. And also, even when we are seeing the bigger picture, for example, if I would ask, why did we have to change the education system? Perhaps we wanted to use our education system to transform our nation, the socio-economic fabric of our nation. But at the end of the day, even when we want to do that, it is important that we also understand the cause and effect. Because sometimes if we don't do that, it's like jumping into a moving bus. A bus, perhaps, you may not know where it is coming from, and boarding it, not so sure where it is taking us. So in this respect, what it means is that understanding the cause, why, for example, as far as the utility of our education, why are we where we are? What caused it? What is the effect? For example, an examination-based education. Well, you know, how did we reach there, and how can we get there, and how can we be better? If you go to another sector like health, for example, now we are talking about social health. Initially, we had a system of health insurance. What is making us move there? What is the big picture? So in terms of strategic thinking, these are some of the questions that we must ask ourselves all the time so that we can be able to make a proactive, well-informed, rather than just a reactive, short-term solution to problems. So strategic thinking enables us. Strategic thinking enables us to be more proactive, to be more future-focused, and even to be more holistic, because the interrelationships of our actions, sometimes they also bring externalities. For example, we introduced the policy of 100% transition in primary education or in basic education some years ago. And strategic thinking would ask us the question, as we increase the number of, or if we increase enrollment and ensure that we enhance the 100% transition, what are the likely effects? For example, on infrastructure, what are the likely effects on the number of teachers? What are the likely effects on many other, if it is other material supplies that are required in the same? So seeing the big picture is a critical aspect of strategic thinking. Seeing long term, because sometimes even as we see long term, or even as we focus long term, it doesn't necessarily mean that we ignore the short term, because short term decisions also have implications on our long term decisions. However, long term decisions calls for us to go into the future and then think backwards. And of course, thinking alone is not enough, because we must also translate our thinking into actionable plans. We must, translate this into actionable plans. And these plans must indicate clearly what is supposed to be done. It must indicate clearly what is supposed to be done. It must also indicate clearly why we are doing what we are doing, because we must even justify the use of the resources, the consumption of the resources. It's very, very important. We must also know when something is supposed to be done, because every action has its own time utility. A decision can be good at one time or can be very useful at one point, but at another time, the decision may not have the value which is expected to have. And that is why it becomes very, very important for us even to justify, not only to justify what we are doing, but also to indicate the best time to do what we intend to do. This planning also involves, this actionable plan also involves determining who is to do what. And when we indicate who is to do what, it means that we are supposed, as much as possible, to determine the capacity of the individuals who are supposed to undertake the various tasks that are supposed to be given. And this means that we are looking at the capacity of this individual in terms of whether it is intellectual capacity, emotional capacity, again also the facilitation that is required, and the preparedness of this person to be able to do what is expected. So determining who is very, very critical. It is also important to determine the where the action will be done. There are actions, the place where action is supposed to be done becomes important, because sometimes we make decisions without due consideration the effect the decision will have on certain either individuals or certain actions in different places. So that becomes a very, very important aspect of planning. And then lastly, of course, the how. And this is what we now call the strategy. How are we going to do it? What will come first? We have to be organized. We have to mobilize resources, and so on and so forth. So when we talk about strategic thinking, it is part and parcel of leadership. One thing that leadership does, and a very, very critical one, is to provide direction. And that is why in leadership, envisioning becomes a critical aspect of leadership, where in envisioning, we are able to see the desired future state. For example, in our case, Kenya, how are we supposed to see ourselves by the year 2055? And this is what is calling us to go to, the Singapore movement. So when we envision that Kenya should look like Singapore by the year 2055, what is it that we need to do? Envisioning is one, and actualizing the vision is a different thing altogether. So as much as a vision is good, it should be forward-looking and inspirational. In fact, it is said that if a vision does not scare you, then it is not worth leaving it. And therefore, to me, the Singapore movement is worth thinking about, so that we think big, asking ourselves the question, how did Singapore become the way it is? What did they do that we didn't do? What mistakes, what drawbacks did we have? Were they lack of resources? Was there leadership issues? What were they? So that even as we aspire to become like that wonderful country called Singapore, what is it that we need to do? If Singapore is our desired future state, how should we reach there? So that we go there and work backwards. So when we talk about a shared envisioning, we must address two questions, two issues, or organizations, when they are envisioning, they must address two issues. One of them is, or in strategic thinking, one of them is the vision that they have, where they want to go. For example, as Kenya now, we have defined where we want to go. Again, also the mission, why we exist. So the public service should, if all of us are public servants, we need to ask ourselves, why do the public service exist? So that now when we come to the process of envisioning, which is a proactive and creative process of creating that future state, what do we need? What do we need to do? And of course, we must first of all determine our destiny, and then work backwards to know how we need to reach to that destiny. So in this case, we have already determined our future, and we also need to start working out on how we realize that future. So in this case, looking at the envisioning process, we start by understanding our current reality. We start by understanding our current reality, and in that regard, we ask ourselves, where is Kenya today? Where is Kenya today? How is Singapore today? How is Kenya today? The current state. Then we also ask ourselves the question, are we comfortable with the current state? How does Singapore look like in terms of infrastructure? How does Singapore look like in terms of health, the health system? How does Singapore look like in terms of education system? How does Singapore look like in terms of all that we aspire to be as Singapore? Understanding our current reality, understanding our current capacity, understanding what we need to do, therefore becomes a very critical aspect of understanding our current reality. And therefore, this Singapore movement requires us to understand our current reality, so that even when we go to the future, which is our Singapore, and then thinking backwards, enables us to move there. Then also there is the element of envisioning the future. Envisioning the future, describing that future, and selling that future. Also, the issue of gathering ideas and insights, what can be done. For example, whenever there is a major transition in a sector or the economy or a nation, there is always need either to come up with a team of thinkers, a think tank that will gather insights and ideas and formulate a roadmap towards that desired future state. Because if that is not done, then we may be unable to reach and realize our dreams. There is also the element of building consensus. A vision that is not shared may not be realized. For example, if we have a vision to transition, to change either a system. For example, we had a vision in our education sector to change our university financing, to change our education system, to come up with a policy of 100% transition, whether it is in the health sector, agriculture sector. How many of us share the same vision? So sharing the vision becomes very, very critical, and selling it so that you get a buy-in, because a vision that is not shared sometimes ends up experiencing drawbacks, resistance, sometimes not because those who are supposed to be onboarded are resisting the vision, but maybe because they don't understand it. So selling and getting buy-in for any vision is a very, very critical element of envisioning. Again, also, the vision statement must be well understood and communicated effectively, so that what may remain would only be the implementation and the monitoring of the progress of the vision. Now, in all this, there is the new concept. It may not necessarily be new, but now it is what is being thought to be a transformative model through strategic thinking. And this is the concept of design thinking, which is a human-centered process for creative problem solving. So that first and foremost, in this design thinking, first and foremost, understanding what is the need, who is affected. For example, if it is a change program, who is likely to be affected by this change? So it will start by assessing the needs of who will be affected by the change, or by the program, or by the project. And also, when you understand it, or when it is well understood, what follows is developing challenging assumptions, and developing innovative and using and friendly solutions. And of course, this is done through experimentation. Perhaps this is where those of us who are well versed with research, before you roll out fully a research program, sometimes you may need to pilot. You may need to pilot or to test the tools that you are using, so that if there is any backlash, it is not very expensive, or it doesn't end up consuming so much resources, and it doesn't work. So experimentation and testing in design thinking is very, very important. It's a critical aspect of design thinking. And the essence of this design thinking is to promote evidence-based decision making, so that as much as a decision is to be made, how much information or what is informing that decision? What is informing, for example, 100% transition? For example, what is informing it? What is informing the university model that we are talking about? What is informing any program or any project that we have in our country today? And when that is done, it will help promote evidence-based decision making. For example, if we talk of 100% transition in basic education, literacy levels, if we increase the level of literacy, it means you have a well-educated populace, a populace that is able, or a population that is able to articulate issues faster, a population that is able to understand and get and it's able to participate effectively in the economy, a population that is likely to be engaged in socio-economic development. Again, it is against the backdrop of low literacy levels also have challenges, and it becomes more expensive, become more burden, more of a burden to the government. And as we move towards self-reliance, individuals who are well educated are likely to become more self-reliant, and they are likely to be less burdensome to the government. And therefore, ensuring that education, which is a basic, which is a right, a human right, basic education, which is a human right, according to our constitution, isn't as it is enshrined in our constitution, then the government ensures that there is 100% transition. But even when it ensures or promotes that policy, it has to have evidence, or evidence must be generated. Data must be collected to ensure that, for example, if we are moving towards industrialization, if we are moving towards the kind of economy that we want, if we are to consume the kind of technology that is expected today, then we need to get new, we get to build the capacity of our population. Again, also, as we promote evidence-based decision making, decisions are likely to be more impactful. Decisions are likely to be more focused on solving problems, solution-based, as design thinking is more solution-based. And more solution-based decision making is more impactful to the citizens, or to this is more impactful to the nation than it would be if perhaps it was not solution based. Because any decision that we make, we need to be asking ourselves the question: what solution is it solving? What what solution is it solving? And I am impressed by the comment by Peter Kerege, who is indicating that with the data now considered the new oil driving in the fifth industrial revolution, or the question that he's asking is what strategic, technological, and organizational measures must institutions adopt to become data-driven and enhance evidence-based decision making. Here, what I would want to indicate to or to react to Peter Kerege's reaction is that this is a deliberate move, because what design thinking enables us to do is to come out from the bureaucratic form of thinking and focus more on user needs. And you cannot focus on user needs. You cannot focus on what is actually needed by the citizens, for example, if we don't if we don't become human-centered, and if we don't deliberately move to collect data on what citizens need. For example, anything that we do as a government or as a public service, is it citizen-centric? Is it helping the citizens to solve their problem? And therefore, with this kind of thinking, this model of thinking, which is a design thinking, it is supposed to focus or to help us focus on understanding more on the user needs, testing the solutions. And you cannot test solutions if you have no data. And of course, with the data-driven decision making enables us to make better and more realistic decisions. I don't know whether, Peter, I have answered your question. I don't know whether I have answered your question, but it has come at a very, very good time. And therefore, the main element in all this is to enable us promote evidence-based decision making. Of course, everything that we do must be solution-based. What problems are we solving for our citizens? We must always ask ourselves that question. We must always ask ourselves that question, and also ask ourselves whether we are creating solutions that are desirable, feasible, and viable. The decisions that we make, the solutions that we intend to offer, first and foremost, the criteria that we use is, number one, is it desirable? That is, how is it affecting our country? Is it feasible? And is it viable? I can see a question by Kenneth Jumba, who is asking, how can Kenya change from a talking shop to action-oriented an action-oriented strategy? And what I would say is that number one, it is always a deliberate move. It is always a deliberate move to move from action from talking shop to action orientation. And this is mainly driven by the leadership. Leadership. When leadership envisions, or sets the direction, the next move, of course, is to actualize that action. I'm told that Kenya is very good at envisioning. Kenya is very good. Kenyans, we are very good at coming up with the plans. But when it comes to implementation, that is where our challenge, that is where the rain starts beating us. Many in the 60s and in the 70s, when we talk of the session paper number 10 of 1967, in its transformative agenda, the government wanted to fight, for example, some of the key challenges that we were facing of poverty, illiteracy, and disease. But you find that over 60 years down the line, we are still talking of the same problems. And every time when we have a transformative agenda, at first, it comes out very, very strongly. For example, when we talk about, even our Vision 2030, it came out very, very strongly on how we are going to address those matters. But the deliberate move to move from rhetoric to action is what is actually required, so that all the time we are asking ourselves, what have we done? And that can always be done through a strong M&E, a monitoring and evaluation framework, and also a serious action plan and focusing on individuals who have been given responsibilities to ensure that that is done. An evaluation system that also focuses and pins down the agencies that are supposed to ensure that the various actions are taken. I can see a question by Josephat Onchoke, who is asking the question that in regard to strategic thinking, do the government of Kenya come up with a concept paper in regard to our economic transition that is data-based? Of course, there are various agencies in Kenya that have that responsibility. For example, we have the Kenya National Bureau of Statistics, which is given that mandate. And every year, the Kenya National Bureau of Statistics releases data on what is happening in the various aspects, on the various sectors of our country, more so the economic sector, and so on and so forth. And this year, I was privileged to be present when the data, the statistics were released last year, and of course it states, and it is what releasing data is one thing, Bwana Onchoki. But of course, now what you do with that data is a different thing altogether, because the variables involved, for example, in the economic transition, apart from our GNP or our gross domestic product or our economic indicators, there are also other variables such as population statistics and many others. For example, even whether they are health indicators, education indicators. And more so, I would think, and I would tend to think that at this moment, we need to concentrate more on what we call human development indicators. Because for us to ensure that we have economic transition, what we do with the poverty levels or the levels of income per capita of our people, what we do with our education indicators, because education has a very big implication on economic transition, what we do with our health indicators. Okay, there is also another variable of gender parity, which is a fourth variable of human development. We may need to look at them and analyze them and see how they are affecting our economic transition, because poverty levels will always become a big problem. And when we don't address the problem of poverty, what is causing it? And I can see that Dr. Vincent Getanda is asking whether our politicians strategic thinkers. I think that is a debatable point. But one of the things that I would want to say is that sometimes we don't look at the root cause of the problem. The challenge is our failure to look at the root cause of the problem. For example, what is the root cause of our poverty? What is the root cause of our challenge in education? What is the root cause of our health challenges? What is the root cause of our challenges in that gender parity? Again, also, besides the socio-economic and political, development of our country, we need to be deliberate and go to the root cause. Where did the rain start beating us? Why is it, as we mentioned, the Singapore movement, where did we lose it? So that when we go there, so that we don't repeat the same problems that we have been making over the last 60 years. What do we need to avoid and what do we need to strengthen? And if for our politicians, because Getanda is asking whether our politicians are strategic thinkers, it depends on the dimension of strategic thinking that they are focusing on. There is political strategy, there is also the economic strategy, and there are many other areas the politicians need to be thinking about. For example, besides the political strategy, economic strategy is very, very key. What will transform our economy? That calls for strategic thinking. And perhaps the level and the level of our economy is also a reflection of our politicians in terms of their strategic thinking. Social development, our social indicators, whether it is health, whether it is education, so security and other social factors is also an indicator of our, we need to give our politicians a scorecard on it because they are the drivers of policy, they are the drivers of legislation, and of course, they are the ones who oversight implementation. And therefore, whether they are strategic thinkers is a debate perhaps a debate for another day. And then I can see Catherine asking a question, where did the rain start beating us, especially with our politicians? What I can say is that where the rain starts beating us, as far as our politics is concerned, is the misconception of leadership. Because leadership, I don't know, Catherine, whether you can, you know what is the leadership pyramid. We have an upright pyramid, but we need to invert that pyramid, the leadership pyramid, so that the top leadership is at the bottom, so that it can reflect service to the people. It is not the citizens serving the leaders. You know, the normal pyramid indicates the citizens serving the leaders. But we need a new leadership pyramid which is inverted, which should show us leadership serving the people, service-driven leadership. That is what we really need. Values-based leadership, service-driven leadership, where the citizen is king. That is what. That is where the rain started beating us. When we stopped, where leadership stopped seeing the citizen as the key person, as the king who is supposed to be served, and therefore we need to relook at where that started beating us. I can see another question. I don't know whether I have answered that. And perhaps for Catherine, I would want to crown it by saying leadership subordinating self-interest and being driven by the larger good. That is especially where we lost it. Then I can see another question by, is it, somebody has indicated have we established the gaps to the Vision 2030 and lessons learned to guide march to Singapore? Do we have always to abandon? Yeah, this is a question by Kenneth Jumba. I can't agree with you more than this because I am a strong believer of continuous improvement. I'm also a strong believer that, for example, if we go to our education system, we don't discard the whole system, but we continue improving it. The old system to 844 to the new system. Every time we ask ourselves, where didn't it work for us? Where didn't it do this for us? And so on and so forth. So that even the Vision 2030, we need to have a continuous improvement of the Vision 2030 so that wherever we did right in our evaluation, what did we do right in pillar number 1? What did we do right? So what we did right in pillar number 1, 2, and 3, we strengthen. Where did we fail in pillar number 1, 2, 3? You know, we ask ourselves, how did we fail and why did we fail? So that is what I think, in my own view, is the best way to approach the question by Jumba. I can see another question, perhaps some people in this chat are outside your organization. Is it possible to have a message related to policies that will apply to the chat? Of course, whether we are in the public service or whether we are outside the public service, it doesn't really matter much. What matters is, what is the vision of the organization that you are working for? Where are you headed to? And where what will make you reach there? That is the most important thing as far as our discussion is concerned. Are we there in terms of are we on top of things as far as implementing the strategies that we have? I can see another question by I think is Benedict, who is asking whether our elected leaders are mirror of the electorate. How do we convince the electorate to elect strategic leaders? I think this becomes a very, very tricky question because a country like Singapore, one of the things, because I had an opportunity to visit that country some times ago, and one of the things that I learned is that for them, the best brains should run the government. The public service should be run by the best actually. And they will always look for the best to run the public service. And therefore, it is upon a challenge, because Kenya also have what we call a universal suffrage. We are given every 5 years to elect leaders. Then using that opportunity, we can ensure that our politicians are the best. But you'll find that there are other factors that will always override the politicians. So Kenyans have a big challenge of making sure that we have leaders who are up to the task. Another question that I can see here is that poor leadership we are experiencing is actually a reflection of us. Bad leaders are our people, and therefore that is the best the Kenyans the best that the Kenyans the best that Kenyan society can produce. Remember, pawpaw tree cannot produce lemons. I also agree with you, but at the same time, there is an element of truth in it, but at the same time, there is also an element of leadership ensuring that good leadership is in place. You know, in our succession planning, what we call succession planning, it is always important to ensure that good leadership succeeds. And that, of course, that is how I would be able to approach that. Somebody by the name of Jimmy Wafula is saying that our education should be demand driven as opposed to what is currently supply driven. Yes, our education should always be driven by the needs of our economy. Our public sector structures too rigid to adopt to iterative changes. Design thinking suggests it is true. I don't want to say to what extent that how true that is, but it depends on the flexibilities of our leaders. Dr. Granada, we need enlightened leaders, a populace that can elect politicians who have managerial skills and can enable them make strategic choices in their decision making. It is true. So there is somebody who says that our constitution is too liberal to the extent that government programs are embedded and delayed unnecessarily. From experienced countries which are developed fast were led by dictators and the monarchies. Yeah, when we talk about leadership and driving transformation, when leaders subordinate their personal interests and they are driven by the interest of the country or the larger good of the country, that is when transformation occurs. But when we are unable to subordinate our personal interests, then of course we find ourselves in problems that we are unable to solve, and that in itself makes it a little difficult for us to be able to to practice effective leadership, or leadership that will bring the transformation that is so desired. So I'm happy that you people are asking these questions. At what point should we begin planning for the next? Is it I didn't get that question properly. Why does government keep on engaging private consultants in development projects? Besides having knowledgeable civil servants, engagement of private consultants should always be driven by need. That is what I would say. It doesn't mean that public servants can be able to handle all the projects that are required in the country. When the government is overwhelmed and there is need to engage private consultants, then that can happen. But even when it comes to sourcing and procuring those private consultants, it should be guided by ethics and integrity. I can see a person by the name of Irene Gatundu. Okay, are we really going to catch up with the Singapore economy? Can that, given that it is continuing to develop, or is it just a roadmap? What I can be able to say at this point is that Singapore is our vision. That is our destiny. We know that the Singapore economy, socio-political economic development is not static, but we have identified it as our destiny, and ours is now to develop a roadmap to take us to the status of Singapore by the year 2025. So that is what I would say for that. And somebody is asking about, however, internal teams often struggle with time constraints, resource limitation, and competing priorities. This is where external consultants come into play. I agree with you. How do we, as strategic leaders, separate politics from development? Because we are held back in development by too much politics. What I want to say is that a public service should always be apolitical. That is, if we mix politics and the public service, it becomes very, very difficult. Public servants should be apolitical so that there is a more objective view of development. So if you look at the political implication of development, you find that because politicians would want to get mileage from some of the small projects, so you'll find that development will be spread thin, and there is a lot of waste, right? Because if I want to make a political statement using a development project, then that is what I will do. And therefore, objectivity in development sometimes is lost. And when it is lost, then you find that sometimes we spread ourselves too thin to wanting to please so many people who will vote for us. But at the same time, objectivity calls for the public servant, which is apolitical, looking at a project, its viability, and then its benefit. How much is it going to benefit the nation, so that you are able to look at the bigger picture. Yeah, how does a politician appointed in a public service position remain apolitical? It is possible because that is what the Constitution and our laws require. A public servant is supposed to serve everybody, whether it doesn't matter which political leaning the person is in. The other question is, how does a politician, the other question is, did I see it right? How do we separate strategic leaders separate politics from development? I think we have answered that. Why does the government keep on engaging private consultants? Is our constitution too liberal? To the extent that I think we have also looked at that. I can see our time is up. This engagement is becoming more interesting as the time goes. Challenge in public service may be, be political. The challenge is actually, as you are indicating, political appointments, as you are saying. But for now, I would just want to summarize our discussion by just indicating the attitude and the mindset of a strategic leader, because that is what is expected of us. Number one, we need to be forward-looking and visionary. We need to be forward-looking and visionary. We need to have a growth mindset. If we are to reach Singapore, we must be forward-looking and visionary. We must be we must have a growth mindset. Again, we must also embrace change. We must embrace change, and we must take calculated risks. And above all, we have to be very, very innovative. Because, for example, when we talk about when you talk about design thinking is supposed to get us out of the box of bureaucracy. It is supposed to get us out of the old norms of thinking. so that we can be more innovative. And therefore, if we are to develop that strategy that will take us to Singapore, we must, of course, analyze our country and our capacity to go to deliver that vision. And then we also see whether we also have the strategic options that we have. We ask ourselves, what resources do we have? And then once we have been able to do that, we are supposed to create an actionable roadmap that will take us there. I know there is somebody who asked us whether we only talk and we don't act. What we need to do is to create that roadmap and, of course, make sure that the actionable steps are well clarified and they are taken, the action is taken. And for this, I would say that if we are able to do that, the Singapore dream can be a reality, as long as we have the attitude and the mindset of the strategic thinker. Because if a vision is not big enough to scare us, then it is not worth thinking about. And if we are scared by the vision of Singapore, then that is what we need to think about. It is upon now those in positions of authority, those in positions where they are supposed to act, to ensure that they are creating an actionable roadmap. Because if you dream, for you to realize that dream, you must wake up. So already we were sleeping, we have come up with a dream, and the dream is Singapore. And now what remains is to wake up and realize, for us to realize that dream. So with that, because of time, I would wish to stop there. I can see somebody indicating that a major systematic problem in Kenya is corruption. How can Kenya achieve development we want if the menace continues? Actually, corruption is a major drawback to development, and the more and the earlier we address corruption, the easier our journey will be to Singapore. So thank you very much. God bless you. And thank you for listening to me. Thank you very much. So who is the president of the class? I can see John. I can see John Lekuton. I know of Mheshimiwa John Lekuton. Could be the Mheshimiwa John Lekuton? In my class, I can see John Lekuton. Could it be Mheshimiwa John Lekuton? So thank you very much. God bless you. Somebody to do a final comment? A final comment?